Me and Gerardo were just, what?
I'm not sure what to do.
No, with your hands. You just bring them down, Gerardo. Just bring them down, man. Just,
with what was going on.
he didn't know what to do with his hands.
I wake up in the morning and I piss excellence. Okay.
Okay.
I'm just good at what I do.
Oh, my bad.
I'm the best there is. If you're not first, you're last.
Center envoy 4266
First.
You're not. Wait. What does that even mean? What, Gerardo, what does that even mean?
It means you gotta be first all the time. If you're not first, you're last.
Okay.
I play for keeps.
He plays for keeps.
I play for keeps.
Shake and bake.
Shake and bake.
Shake and bake.
Awesome.
Just remember, kids, if you're not first, you're last.
Words to live by. You want to be a pilot? You better be first, or you're gonna be last. That's how that works. 2477, great day, San Mosquito. Don't be messing around, miss radio calls either. I believe the Legacy 227 Whiskey Echo 35.5, 390. I'm sorry, 35,500 for flight level 390.
Amateur hour.
Amateur hours.
Oh, my bad.
Well, that's kind of what it's like up front. Just having a lot of fun.
Your overcast.
I'll just kind of narrate a little bit here. So here we are. You can hear in the background. We're getting the weather. We're getting the ATIS, the Automated Terminal Information System, and basically the weather where we're going. We start our morning in Van Nuys, California. Now we're headed over to Jackson Hole, Wyoming.
You're third to the Logan Airport.
We're supposed to get a little bit of weather coming out. We're going to shoot what's coming in the system. Now, this right here, between two pilots, this is what happens sometimes. If you get a speed alert that your speed's too fast, then you get to, the other pilot gets a free beer on the other pilot. So he just barely missed it, so that's what we're laughing about. So up here, a beautiful morning. Well, this is
it's almost trying to clear up there, but
yeah,
you know,
so we don't know.
We don't know.
We're starting our descent into Jackson Hole.
All right, 3021.
Alright, ascent check.
Go, ascent check. Descent check.
Charlie climbing at Jackson Hole through 8,000 up to 16,000.
Windshield heat on. Pressurization. Check 6500. Landing data speeds.
Butte set.
Cool. Altimeters. Arterial lights.
Set.
Cool. Altimeters.
We got 3021 left center.
Right and cross check. Descent check is complete.
So the ascent check, we start that after 18,000 feet. Basically, we turn the lights, turn the seatbelt sign, make sure the altimeters are all reading the same, and make sure that the pressurization for the airplane is set at the field elevation. We are coming out of 16,000 feet. Robert's just double checking we've already briefed the approach before. He's just double checking things. That knob up there that you see him turning, that's his vertical speed. So he's adjusting his vertical speed so that he can meet his crossing restrictions in the proper amount of time.
Delta 320, contact flight center 119.75. Number 7 Whiskey Echo, you can now cross the NOR at about 13,000 cleared ILS. Do the approach check 5.
Nora, we're at about 13,000 cleared ILS 107 Whiskey Echo.
13,
Contact Jackson Hole Tower 118.07.
1807, good day, so Whiskey Echo.
So we just got clear for the approach, and now we're going to tower.
Okay, tower, Legacy 227 Whiskey Echo is 14 across the NOR at 13,000.
14,000, we're supposed to cross a certain fix at
Report Walm Road, and at 1542 Zulu, citation Pushing at 680. Port is tops at 82. Bottoms at 72. Experience trace rime icing. Temperature -2.
Okay, thank you very much. We'll report lemon. Romru.
So what that whole thing was about was another jet had come in and he had gotten icing on his wing. He got light rime icing on the wings. And then we were supposed to, they gave us a crossing altitude across this certain fix at 11,000 feet.
Now current on 3020.
3020, so much Echo. 3020.
And that's the most updated altimeter setting. We set our altimeter so that our altitudes all read the same.
CBIB 11,000.
And he's adjusting his vertical speed so he can meet that crossing restriction.
Tactile time information here is now current, and we are
Flaps
now
9.
BMC.
Speed checks.
Altitude
BMC.
1,100.
So what they just said, one, we just did flaps
Those are
9, so that's our
beautiful
first set of
mountains right
flaps
there.
that we're slowing down as we're starting this instrument approach, this
check.
ILS.
Ready.
Oh yeah, approach check.
And
Approach
we do
briefing.
have speed
Captain
restrictions
signs
for
are
those
on.
flaps. And so we just said speed checks,
Radio
flaps are
GPS.
down. And then they said that the
Air center
the
ID,
field is
flight has
VMC,
been notified, FBO,
visual and
1. Approach check is
meteorological conditions, which means basically it's no longer instrument conditions on the field. Now the autopilot's still flying this. You can see he's just adjusting his speed, adjusting his vertical speeds. So our job is just to monitor a lot of what's going on.
Checks.
We put it into the box, and we check everything out. And now we have 1,000 feet to go until we're supposed to cross that, hit that crossing restriction.
That's nerve-wracking a little bit, not gonna lie.
It is. And it is.
It's pretty, but it's nerve-wracking.
9,800. Sozu.
Here's what our map looks like. And that's pretty much what it looks like. There's no moving maps like we have in cars and that sort of thing, not on these type of airplanes.
See it?
But it's basically just lines behind a black background.
One to go.
10,8, 10,
There you go. You can see that we can clear down to get lower. We have 1,000 more feet to go. And that little altitude alerter is just telling us that. Now we got to be under 10,000 feet. We have to be at 250 knots or less, which we're well underneath that. So the autopilot's captured the 10,000 feet. It's holding it now. We have our flaps 9.
Garage that.
And we'll get ready to start the approach. So you see my hand up there? I'm switching to what's called green needles, or I'm switching to the analog needles of the actual ILS, or instrument landing system, and that will guide the airplane all the way down.
One to go.
So you can see we're just monitoring what's going on as we begin. We're about to start our descent down. Doing 195 knots, all set up, ready to go. We're going down through 9,000 feet. The approach really starts at 8,700 feet is what that was set at. And there's those clouds, and somewhere down underneath there is an airport. Now this little pip, this picture box, that is just from our iPad. This is from the flight of what we did. This is not what we can see when we're flying. Here's our boxes of FMS. This is that Warmu. We're supposed to cross that at a certain altitude. Gerardo is setting up his side of the
The Whiskey
approach.
Echo is Warmu inbound.
November 7 Whiskey Echo.
And see that little green icon right there at GS glide slope? So the glide
We're
slope is
land
coming in, and
190,
that is
which is
basically a slide. It's we're going to capture, and we're going to slide it right, the airplane right down that little slide to hit Mother
Gear
Earth,
down.
nice and
Gear.
easy.
Flaps 22.
And 22.
All right, glide slope's coming in, our gear comes down, and our flaps go to flaps 22. It's just 22 degrees setting.
I'm inside.
All right, I'll be outside.
Now, I'm outside, he's inside. What that means is I am looking for the runway, and he is watching the instruments as we go into the clouds as we're getting closer to the ground. You can see the autopilot's completely on it. The glide slope's right on the money. The localizer's right on the money, and the autopilot's actually flying. And this is what we're seeing as we look outside. You see we're getting closer and closer to the
45
runway.
landing check.
Cool. Sounds good.
At 145,
Flight
we're
suspend
below
notified
that. We're
landing
going to drop
gear
our
is down
flaps
to
45
300
and go
degree,
landing check.
verified flaps, waiting for it. Yep. 45.
45.
Cool.
Send my miss approach out to GNI, so 14,000 miss approach.
That 14,000 miss approach is in case we have to go miss, in case we can't see the runway, we then have to get up and leave, and that's the altitude we're going to go to. It's predetermined on the approach plate.
Start sea ground.
Roger. Oh, no
Runway in
one's
sight.
So we call the runway in sight. We see it,
Autopilot.
Easy.
and he's going to turn the autopilot off.
$500 back there. Clear land.
500 feet above the ground. We just call that, make sure we are clear to land.
Approaching minimum.
Visual.
Roger.
And he's going to hold that speed. There was a speed that he was going to hold. I think it was 130 knots or so, or 135 knots. And that is our ref speed. We turn on the
100.
On speed. Grease job. Oh, dang. Ouch. And that is how that's done. Holy cow. Sweet. I got your tops.
Good times.
Cool.
I got tops. What that means is I've got
Very
the yoke,
nice.
so the yoke doesn't
Oh,
flap
man.
around.
What a waste of a good landing.
November 7 Whiskey Echo, turn left at Alpha 1, taxi to parking via Alpha, mile on ground.
Left out, one taxi, monitor ground, so whiskey echo. Cool.
Now, see where his hand is right there? His left hand? That's the steering. So in these bigger jets, so small planes, you use your feet to steer. The big jets, or the most jets, you're going to use this a tiller. And that's actually how you steer on the ground. So notice we don't do a checklist. This is a flow. So this is an after landing flow. Basically, we bring the flaps up. We turn our transponders to standby transponders. There's things that so the air traffic control can see us. It gives a certain beacon code, and we just turn those to standby. We turn our lights off. We transfer some environmental systems over to our APR, auxiliary power unit, and basically that's pretty much what we need to do. We have things called windshield heats. It just heats up the windshield, and we turn those off at that time as well. But that's a flow, so we don't do a checklist because we need to have both eyes outside during the taxi. There's our line guy.
Oh, okay.
See his tiller? See his hand on that left hand on the tiller?
Cool, man. Yep.
So we don't go into gates or anything like that. Now this is me locking in the yoke. We have an electromagnetic locking mechanism.
Make sure I'm clear on this
Locks
side.
Yeah,
that
you're
yoke in
clear.
place.
Look good. Transferred.
So no gates, just
Still looking
out there
good.
on the tarmac. And look at that hand, just moving the aircraft around. And now this guy will later help us with our bags. This guy will also later probably fuel us. So they do all kinds of things at these smaller airports. And there you go.
Cool.
Now, here comes
Alright,
down.
shut it down.
Cool.
Shut down. Flow. Motors off. Hydraulics off. Lights off. We transfer some of the power.
And shutdown check.
Now we run the checklist.
Shutdown check. Park brake.
Set light on.
Thrust levers.
Idle.
Start stop selectors.
Stop.
Gust lock.
Engage.
Flaps.
0.
Transponder.
Standby.
Trims.
Reset.
Steering.
Disengage.
Ice panel.
Set.
Hydraulic pumps. Exterior lights.
Nah.
GPU.
If you
Kip signs. Shutdown check complete.
So I hope you enjoyed that. That was Gerardo's leg coming in empty into Jackson Hole, Wyoming. It was a beautiful morning for that. Got Leslie, our flight attendant. She's awesome. And we're gonna pick up some passengers after this. We're going to Chicago. And then from Chicago, we're heading out to New York. We're going to New York. Should stay in New York overnight, and then we'll see what happens after that. So this is an empty leg. Hope you enjoyed it.
said shake and bake.
Shake and bake.
So, I don't know.
Leslie, she's awesome flight attendant. Welcome.
She's basically saying
There
that
she is.
this face gets jobs, basically. This face gets jobs. This is what got me hired. None of this, just this. Yeah, none of this. Just my eyes and my humor.
Awesome. That's what got me hired. Definitely not my pilot skills. That's why I'm over here today. It's weird. The last several trips, they're like, Jerry, why don't you just sit SIC for a little bit? They'll be okay.